So let's start. We are really very much in time. Charles Ross, thanks for the introduction, but he said now, so Nora, if you can make it without me starting of the session, just go and take the stage. So happy to see you. It's really, after 2 years of watching only a black hole and in the Zoom meeting, it's really, really refreshing to see faces. And yeah, I'm really super happy to be here and have the chance to talk to you. Thanks for so many to come, you for coming. And yeah, let's look ahead. I think I have heard already this morning a lot of times that we don't know what will be in autumn this year, how the situation will develop, whether a new variant of the virus will stop our activities again or whatever. But now it's time to live, and now to live with this virus. And so I want to take you first for an update of winter 23-24, which our theme was further, rise up for future, and you can imagine how emotionally touched I was some weeks ago when I saw the release of some music from Ukraine via with Pink Floyd and Hey Hey Rise Up. It felt really a little bit spooky because we created this topic in September 21. And at that time, when we were speaking about the season, the upcoming season, we had all these natural disasters of last year in our mind, and on the other hand side, the pandemic. But the feeling was we have to continue to go ahead and to be optimistic because we will overcome the virus. Of course, the situation like it is now, we never imagined. So with this in our minds of the international team, with colleagues from Italy, Germany, and Lithuania, and other countries, we exchanged on our expressions, and it was this feeling that we cling too much to what we had, what we were used to before the pandemic, and that we really have now to take all efforts to move ahead, to imagine a future which will also be great. We are the ones. We have achieved so much over the centuries, over the decades, and we can. Yes, we can, to cite Obama. Yes, we can. But we doubt and we are afraid. And nowadays, of course, the uncertainties are bigger than ever. And this will, of course, also influence our way of working and the products, and also how we can sell. Because, as we all know, a lot of people have financial problems. In the meantime, they lost their jobs. They don't have the budget for buying so much. And it's a difficult situation. But never forget, clothing is really a basic need of human beings. As long as we are with physical beings, we have to cover up, we have to protect our bodies. And this is something which we always had. It's innate in our history of human beings. It's our purpose and our unique selling point that we really have a basic human need to feed. So we don't have to think about what might be the purpose of the next iPhone or something like this. Without clothing, people would burn in the sun, they would freeze to death, and things like this. So this is really important. And this was also feelable in the work with my colleagues, especially with the ones from Italy. They were really very passionate. I have really to thank all of them for their passionate work over the last 1.5 or 2 years. So where it was also feelable that it's our responsibility to take care of the future for our children and grandchildren. And we cannot continue like we did before. So with clinging to the past, to the old structures, to reach out to the past, it's not okay. We have to go further, to think further, and to move. And for clothing in general, we said it's, and I think it's also feelable, and you can see it, that our way of working, also due to digitalization of the product development work process, it's more important how and what we develop. We cannot just say, oh, I have a nice idea, and this and that, and let's do it. No, we have to change our point of view. Also the designers, and I really call for the designers, it's not about going around and saying, what's new? What can maybe I can use. In the moment when we imagine a new product, we already have to see the whole life cycle of the product. And I will talk tomorrow a little bit more about it, but it's really about finding the best solutions, not only for the user or for our target group, but the best solution for user, the society, and the environment. So this is really a shift, a paradigm shift in designing, thinking about new products, and based on what we can feed, a human need, a basic human need. Without clothing, nobody can exist. So, but let's get back to the colors. So here just some examples of magnetic field or field of tension in which we go. We see at the moment a lot of cover-ups of embrace. We want to be embraced, we want to feel safe, and we want to protect also a little bit with influence of everyday armors, and then of course to have fun, go out in digital universes. So this is the field of our activities in the next years, or in the next years and decades. And we defined, so this was the background of our thinking and of our very intense exchanges in Zoom meetings. And so these are the core colors for us for the season. So this feeling of, we want certainty, we want to feel safe, we want to feel sure. So this is also reflected very much in the color range. So as you know, we do 6 to 7 different color stories, each composed by 6 to 8 or 9 shades, but each story has its 3 core colors, as we call it, or lead colors, if you want to call it. We set the tone, so that you really can say, okay, the first thing is a very warm and slightly sunny feeling. Number 2, Web of Life, is really powerful with this orange red, and then the ochre. And IRL in real life, it's a little bit artificial, completely the contrary, but we felt also that that we see a kind of chromatic anarchy, as a colleague told it, so that we love to bring together colors, clashing, really attention grabbing, and which we usually would feel it's too much power, but nevertheless, there is a world where these clashing colors, especially in the digital space, and I think we cannot think design in the next years without thinking also of the digital space. So we see that these clashing and very powerful colors are establishing in our color preferences. Okay, and the other ones are rather natural, very calm. It's more or less a calm flow, with the exception of this story, Play Out Loud, which will become louder when you will see in the following slides the accent colors. So in general, of course, what I said, we were discussing this in October, November 21. And we had the feeling that there is a lust for change, that we not only we know that we must, but we are curious. After 1.5 years of being locked in or hindered from a lot of activities, there was the feeling we have to go out, we have to be active, especially we in sports know that we have been treated quite well by the consumers because they wanted to go out to have activities, to enjoy activities, sporty activities, and so our selling was not that bad like in other parts of the industry or in other parts of industry in general. So with Lust for Life, off to new shores, 21, the next level. A very comfortable, a very, I would also say, a real fashion touch, as we see really that fashion is more and more entering also the expression, the style of our garments and the color feel. And we loved very much this trio, the leading trio, and then these accent colors to underline, to give depth, to contour, to make the whole story not flat, but adding depth. So the fog is rising, the pictures become clear, there is a love for transparencies, for layerings, but nevertheless transparency so that you can recognize, and slowly but surely we recognize that there is a way, there is life beyond what we have experienced. We can set up new scenarios, and so it's a call for creativity and to think of what is yet to come and what we can shape, because every step, the next second is already the future. So come on, let's move. This is the web of life, I would say. And so we had this very powerful story, reflection of our modern world with all these different layerings of physical, digital, of certainty, of flow, of whatever you can imagine, the richness of our lives, I would say, and of our societies. And a very strong color story, mainly stamped by the reddish tones and a little bit of acid yellow-green, and then calming down with true black and a silver gray. And you see here to see the spectrum, really what it is covering. The crochet is there, but then again the digital world, and all this in a color flow which is more harmonious, something which we see it's also coming, or it's continuing also in summer 24. There is a preference for harmonious color flows, for a kind of degradation which is vivid but not overloaded with contrasts. And here again, so the mood is a very graphic topic. My colleague Felicia from Italy, she loved to work on the graphics and loved the spirit and transforming these colors into really wonderful graphic language. So when we come to in real life, and I just mentioned up front to the session that what we have to solve are our problems in real life. So this was also clear from the beginning when we started exchanging in October, November 21, that it's definitely the next seasons are marked by this topic, that we have to tackle our problems in real life and not what is going on in the digital universes, because otherwise we will vanish. So if it's important for us to tackle the problems. So a reflection of the things we do to nature, our harmful impact, and then here the colors, as I said, it's this very strong leading trio with this fluo purple and then this basic green, a really deep green, and then a bright and shimmering blue, and then dimmed by these natural shades of greenish yellowish tones. As said, it's a very graphic story again. And we wanted also to reflect that our shadow is nearly everywhere, the human shadow. And we have, and on the other hand side, this is also a very nice topic for graphics in this story, to play with the shadows. And we overshadow everything on Earth and all good. Also in the internet, not everything is good. And so once again, the plea, we have to focus on what is going on in real world. And I loved very much with artwork, with color combinations, with recommendations. We do always in our color forecast how to combine these colors we propose. And I loved the work from Gabi Altrock. It's really wonderful. I've never seen such nicely done disasters. So you see all the topics reflected by her work, with which we have to deal. So, yeah. And this is us. It's a story about us. And I think this is also something we often forget. We have to look to the people. It's our job to look to people and society and what we do to them with our ways of manufacturing and things like this. And on the other hand side, you know, all these discussions about gender and gender diversity and non-binary people and what else. We have such a big diversity. These societies are so rich. And we have really to support these people to not only focus on our long-term experiences and traditions with target groups. We have to regroup. We have to look again. And so you see here the leading trio. Of course, here is black. Though some people or some articles in the last year said Generation Z doesn't killed black because they don't like black, they use color. Nevertheless, we still believe in black, and we combine it with this banana, soft banana, and with vital purple lilac. And then, of course, the contrasting points here. You see here some reflections just playing around with color, with structures, to reflect what is going on. And also here you see a design from a workshop which I did with some students after the first in-person workshop by the end of the year 21. New ideas for how to cover up, how to protect oneself, and how to represent oneself on the stage of the 21st century. And so overall, we can say we have to reframe our way of living, our way of working. And very strong colors, again, a very reddish topic, but more on the dark and red and purple side, with a lot of light coming in by the additional colors, by the accent colors. A very modern story, and on the other hand side, also combining, taking what we see from the past, or what with old handwriting or architecture from yesterday, taking it to the new feeling of a century. So reframing our understanding of human history and going beyond, going further. This is really the message. We cannot continue living with the structures and processes we have elaborated over the last 150 years or so, since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. This is not fitting any longer. These structures are not fitting any longer for the 21st century, as we can see. So a very powerful story, as I said before, very colorful. We liked it very much, this combination of these reddish tones, and think this is a perfect expression also for a lot of sports we can imagine in this thing. And then we get to play out loud. It's really enough talking. We have to be loud. We have to really work. And I can only repeat. It's time to change. Tomorrow I will give you a short look back to my Quo Vadis lectures over 10 years of doing so at Performance Days, because in May 2012 I did the first lecture about what is the big picture of our industry. And it's quite interesting, so I can only invite you to tomorrow's presentation. Okay, so Play Out Loud, it's marked by water and sky, by the colors green and blue, and perfect shading for, of course, I see here, for example, here, one graphic from my side, which my love for water, swimming, being at the beach, and doing really very nice, colorful prints. And you see here, as I said, the leading trio gets allowed by this really clashing accent colors with green 37 and again here the purple fluor. So this adds the loud tone. Here on the other side, from my colleague Berta from Lithuania, a very strict, a very sporty, and a very clear color message for combinations, for checks. One of my favorite topics would be a nice design for outdoor shirts, for new checks outdoors. So get inspired by the color grouping and also by the way of doing the graphic. And then, of course, the final story, Reconnect. It's just this trio, nature, human, future. If we don't manage to get this in balance, it's us to lose. And so we loved these colors of the Arctic landscapes, which are more or less cool tones, but on the other hand side, with few light, just a little bit of light is enough to get some warmth in. So we have here the colors. And overall, I think this story is really impersonating the beauty of nature, a beauty which we really have to keep for us, for our for future generations. And I think we as creative people, we know how inspiring nature is to all of us in terms of colors, in terms of graphic motifs, and in terms of thinking about fabrics, what we want to do. So nature is really, I would say, the biggest inspiration for all of us. Though, of course, here is a little bit human-made thing. So this is, but then again, these motifs here used to do the panels for this building, it's also inspired by nature. And so we love very much this really natural feel, and therefore we call it also rewilding. So really get away from, as I said before, all of us agreed in the team, in the trend team, that it's time to neglect a little bit the digital thing and to focus on what is on stake. And here, so this is our story and our interpretation. And I think a very nice look out to recalibrate our values and thinking long term and not only at the short term business profit. One thing I want to point out, because I had some discussions by beginning of the year. So what we give in our color forecast now for 7 years, you get every color with the codes in Achroma cotton, Achroma polyester. There's a new or additional books to the color atlas from Achroma, specially dyed recipes, colors for polyester, then Coloro and Pantone. And you get here what is given here. It's a general estimation of the fastnesses, of light and wash fastnesses for the colors for each single tone. And it's the green circle means that it's more or less there's no problems might occur. Only the yellow circle indicates that problems can happen. So this is just an information for you in upfront, that at a very early stage you already know that there might be, for example, a problem with some colors. And I have to underline this, the importance, because in our with our next color forecast, which I will now kick off, we had a big discussion about the topic of color, and that our habits of seeing colors and perceiving color are changing due to the work on the computer, on all the Zoom conferences we have now. All my colleagues came up. I ended up with a color input which was really burning with yellow circles. It was really, as I said, never before. We had so many difficult colors for. It's just because we get used to have these bright colors, which with the light from the background, they are very brilliant. And this is something we have to keep in mind, that our color still have to make their living in reality usually, and not in the digital universe. So therefore, I tried as much as possible to get out the yellow circles, but it was really hard. And we have to face this problem, that the color perception is changing. So, yeah, and as said before, it's about going further, and faster decisive actions, higher aspirations and efforts, stronger performance, because we want to take it in a sporty sense, to understand further, more like the Olympic motto, and say, yeah, what do we have to achieve? So, yeah, let's continue. Despite the developments of this year, when we met first in the first week of March, it was really more of a healing session or trial to heal instead of talking about color. That was very difficult. We also thought about, can we pause? Can we say, hey, folks, it's not the season to talk about color. But of course, this is not the way. We are professionals and we have to move forward and to overcome. So, and one thing again, when I was thinking about the next season, I had already in January the topic of metamorphosis. And I think this is what we need, a metamorphosis of ourselves, of our characters, of our behavior, and to come to really completely new results. Our core colors are very strong colors. As said, we had a lot of really difficult colors, so these are core colors. We defined 6 stories: fractured linearity, disembodied, crossroads, entanglements, a dream to cling to, and unbounded excursions. And you see, it's a big difference to season 23-24. We hope for better, of course. Humans always hope for better, and we are sure that things get better. But on the other hand side, there's a kind of slightly aggressive undertone in some of the stories, and also and on the other hand side, again, so it's a season of contrast. Again, this wish to stay safe and to be safe. Because fractured linearity, our way of organizing life and work. Here timeline, there another timeline, and here how you have to do it, how you have to structure your business, either vertical or horizontal. All this is shattered. It doesn't work. We see that it's also our way of planning our lives. First step, next step, school, then studies, then work, then that. It's not working. We have to face it. It's not comfortable. It's not. We have to think here also in a circular way, and also with ups and downs. And we have to become more resilient, also for our business, because our business structures, we see that they don't work. We are all really damaged by our supply chain problems. And so the color story here, it's a very it's a very loud story. On the other hand side, all the colors are really natural colors. We saw this as a thing deriving from nature, these colors, and then with all their power and combining and doing really a completely outdoor story. Outdoor, because I think at the moment most of us feel the best when they are out in nature. So this is what we want to express and what we want to underline, that we in the sector, we really have to to say thank you nature, because this is the basis of our business, and people need this nature. And so we want, it's a kind of tribute to nature to help us through these stories. Then the big question was, again, the digital topic. Of course, you know, we are all confronted with the idea of doing product development in 3D, with simulation, avatars, and without prototyping, only in the last minute. So what does this mean to us? We are physical beings, we have a body. What happens to us if we are disembodied in this way? When we lose our contours, when we are just avatars flowing wherever we want, and things like this. It will do something with us, like I said before, for the color perception. This has done already something, and so we will see here these beautiful worlds. And of course we need escapes, and this is escaping. But what does it mean to be human? Because up to now, over all the history of man, we have been defining ourselves as people who interact with space and who live in the space, who touch the space. And now we are maybe heading towards a disembodied future. So, of course, colors here are more artificial lighting, and as said here, with losing the contours, with dissolving of the color is visible, and everything is fluid. So the question is the future liquid? That's also something we have to think about. And then here, so we are here at crossroads and have to decide where to go to, or where we set our preferences, where is our focus. So the story, again, we see this trend for purple and really strong and bright colored red. We see this as is keeping. We stay with that for summer 24, what we have already seen before in the season, and we try to figure out to make our decisions. So these are here. We have also strong contrasts, but again, a love for the color harmony. And we will elaborate this more in the e-magazine, which will follow in some weeks. But so this is our story for number 4, and now we have Entanglements, and this is Entanglements. So everything is connected with everything. Everything depends on something else, and everything is everything is nothing and anything. So we feel a little bit lost. We need orientation. We are looking for other things, and so we have here again already inspired by nature. But then, could you please a little bit lower, because I have it always in my ear. And then we see this leading trio here, which is a more aquatic thing. And I discussed with one of my colleagues, and she said also, this is beautiful. She's very much into swimwear and beach fashion. She said, this is also beautiful for beach. A wonderful story, and I think also here we can already imagine to see this on the beaches in 24. A very strong story, very appealing story. And then number 5, a dream to cling to. We were really discussing a lot about what do we want to keep from what we have right now, and how do we want to proceed. And we had about, I think we had never had before, a pre-selection of 10 color stories. And then we had to make our choices. And we thought 3 of them were just repeating what we already had done so long and for so long. And we really wanted to express new feelings. And especially the younger colleagues, they also felt, hey, this is not my world anymore. And so we came, but this was one story where we said, okay, also this new way of combining with natural shades. So it's really very clear. We love to have all these pictures, all private pictures from a colleague, and this perfect setting of what family, being together with friends, having lunch or dinner together, and all this familiar coziness. This is something we have to cling to. We want to keep it and want to take it. And it also, I think I love very much this color group, because I can already see a lot of wonderful color harmonies, color graphics for sports, especially also for outdoor sports, a more female outdoor sports. And I'm already curious what my colleague Gabi will do with that. Remember, she was the one with disaster color combinations with very difficult topics. So this will be great to work on. And then the mindset, as said before, a lust for life, a lust for change, and exploring new things. Take the best example, I think we all know, the butterfly, from a caterpillar to the butterfly. When the caterpillar dies, it may be the end of the world, as a colleague from Italy told me. But for the butterfly, it's the start of a new life. And I love this idea that we, after all what we have experienced within the last, especially the last 2 years, and what we will experience this year, and maybe next year, that it would be wonderful if we would learn something from that. And then, like the butterfly can discover new scapes, new spaces, which as a caterpillar, he cannot, because a caterpillar is just linear, moving a little bit and mainly eating. So, but the butterfly can spread its wings and explore new environments. And this is something we definitely need. And I choose the squid, not the butterfly, for showing you the coloring. And I think this is wherever the future will take us in the next months and the next year. Our life is in between real life, reality, nature, outdoors, and of course the digital aspects are there. But we have to be open and to explore and to move forward and to move and really not in a fearful way, but just grabbing the chance to really make a mark and really step forward. So, as said, the butterfly is exploring new spaces. Let's explore new spaces together. And I think our industry, and this is something after all these years, I still love to be in this industry. And I think we really have reached a lot, achieved a lot in this industry with a lot of our things we have done in the past years. But it's not enough, you know, as sports people. The challenge is always there, and always we have to make it better. So challenge yourself, challenge ourselves, and thanks a lot for listening. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Can we show our appreciation for Norma, please?
Thanks. Thanks.
Now, Norma has presented what she believes is likely to happen in the future. She's given you the reasons why, so you can take your own interpretation out from it. But now, you can ask questions. You can say, no, I don't agree with that. Or, what do you think about this? It's your opportunity. Nora heads a wide team of people with different opinions. Now's your opportunity to ask her for more detail if you want to. Or failing that, look at the email address. You can always find Nora there.
And you can catch up, if I may just jump in, you can catch up me during the 2 days here in Munich. I have my booth at B14, and I'm here around, and I'm really pleased to talk to you and to exchange in person. You know, I love this, and I'm really, once again, thankful for seeing all of you here, and a lot of, I would say, already nearly friends all over the years. So I'm very thankful for this, this being together. Thanks a lot.
So does anyone want to ask a question? Turn the word, because if you don't ask a question, I get to ask it. And no one knows that my questions are harder. So whilst you're mulling over yours, Nora, I bought into the disrupted colour palette.
Yeah.
I think you're correct in that we will have the regular progression, but there will always be one outlying colour.
Yeah.
I have seen nothing in terms of your progression towards fluorescent or iridescent colours. Why do you not think they have made the outlier really dramatic? All the outlier colours were good, were different, but they weren't radical enough to me.
Yeah, good question. But this reminds me that I have forgotten something to tell you, that we have our, of course, first of all, our color forecast comes in 2 parts. So the color forecast for 23-24 for winter is already ready, and the e-magazine with all the explanations, or with a lot of explanations about the finishings, the structures, the graphics is already available for some weeks. Can just register at Performance Days website, and you can download the e-magazine for free. And now we work on the second, on summer 24. So this will the metamorphosis first service for you as a tool will be that by the end of after 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, give me some time, we will be ready with the first color information. So this means you get some mood boards, plus the color stories, all of the color stories, plus all the detailed stuff about what is the code in Coloro, in Pantone, and so on. You will get this as a first input for your work, so that you know our colors by all its points. Then we will work on the e-magazine, and this is what covers then your topic, that for sure with some topics we will have iridescent colors. We will have also kind of, I would say, more shimmering or intensely shimmering colors and things like this. But this is then the topic for the e-magazine, where we will elaborate now the pages for when this will be available early July, mid of July, around this. So, but for us, the most important is to give you now, within the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, the basic information on all the colors, and with all the codes, and with all the estimations on the fastnesses, and with, of course, some first mood boards, which you see here, but you will get them as a PDF file. Again, just register at Performance Days website. You can already order this, when you will be informed when this early color information will be ready, and when you can download it. So